today we are going to be checking out 5 perfect seeds for survival worlds, but they're all going to have one thing they share. They've all been picked with the new pale garden in mind, whether that's one right at spawn, a giant one with a village nearby, one with some snow, or even a pretty one. This video's got it, so sit tight as we hop straight in, and maybe even consider giving a like and a subscribe if you enjoy it. So our very first seed of the day spawns you in an old growth spruce taiga. To tell the difference between old growth spruce and old growth pine is the leaves. The spruce goes all the way down, and the pine, the leaves stay at the top. Firstly, as you spawn in this tall taiga, you can find small ash caves instantly at spawn. And not far from this, you can find a village with a pale garden a short run away. This cool Viking village is very pretty with turquoise coves, snowing hanging cliffs, and these little dark winter huts. It's totally picturesque and it seems like a nightmare for the villagers. But if you visit, you can source good food, finding carrots and potatoes, and useful workstations and pretty cool views. Plus, not far from the village, you can find 4 patches of pale garden, a mini one and then 3 larger ones. One of these larger sections of pale garden borders these snow-topped hills, and I love it. You could build something really cool here. Speaking of cool, this piece of land has some insanely cool caves. You can find that rivers run between these patches of pale forest, and each of them take you to sight-worthy caves. Like this lush opening that is just sick. You could build so many insane things here: a tropical paradise, a mansion, a vivarium, a zoo, maybe even just your own backyard. But you can literally just find spore blossoms hanging out on the mountainside, so it's definitely worth a visit. Dotted around these pale gardens and taiga forest, you'll find these very pretty snow-topped mountains, with perfect flat lands for building, a quarry, a swamp to call your own, and with pretty snow backdrops, and even a ruined portal on top of the hill. This portal has a wicked Nether spawn too, in a super safe little cove with a window to a cute basalt backyard, and with access to the Soul Sand Valley. Across the Nether wastes, you can also find a bastion, warped forest, and a crimson forest, all within the same few chunks. I also found netherite upgrade templates here in this fortified bastion. Back in the Overworld, you can find that this river that meanders around these 2 patches of pale forest actually takes you all the way to an ocean. And this ocean has everything a seed could want: a sizable mushroom island that looks out over an ocean monument, and you can find it with savanna mountains, badlands, and a sandy village in the back. These badlands are very picturesque with the rivers running through and jungles too. Not only does this seed offer you large pale gardens right at spawn, but it's also a really interesting world to explore, as well as the Nether. So you get the best of both worlds. But with 4 more seeds to check out in detail, I've got to move on. This next seed has a really interesting spawn, and it's just such a fun seed, I had to include it. You'll find your way on this tropical jungle peninsula, with a thick jungle behind and a hella pretty ocean coast around, with 3 villages either side. This is just such a perfect start to a world. You'll also find right opposite spawn that oh so famous pale garden, and this one's pretty cool. You can find a ruined portal within this pale forest. Here, the netherrack has merged with one of the pale wood trees, and it's so weird. I like how it's formed like this. The nether spawn of this portal was also pretty ideal too. You pop out in the red crimson forest, which I thought was pretty apt, from one forest to the next. With a netherrack roof over your head, it makes for a pretty good nether spawn, and I found warp forest and basalt deltas not far away either. Back in the Overworld, something that I love about this seed is its ocean. You can find this right at spawn, and it takes you to so many different biomes and interesting structures. Like this savanna with a little lake portal village. You can find a large desert nearby with great resources, and this one's actually packed with things to do. From villages, trial chambers, at least 4 desert temples. It is a little busier than most deserts. You can also find some very pretty mangrove. The way it merges with different biomes, from jungle to swamp to savanna, is just too cool. Speaking of swamp, this seed has one of the biggest swamp biomes I've ever seen. If you want a slime farm or a witch farm or even a pillager outpost, you can find it all here within this swamp. With beautiful flat green lands for building either side of this ridge, you'll have plenty of building spots, or maybe even you and your friend could build empires or cities either side of this long mountain ridge. Following the correlation, you can find that it brings you to the Badlands too, and I found this crazy structure. I'm not even sure I know entirely what it is. think it's just an extensive trial ruins, but it's so cool. And with this crazy cool birdlands and quarries, let's move on to the next seed. So our third seed of the day is an odd and interesting one. You'll find you spawn along this sandy bank. With your back to a dark oak forest, you can look across the ocean and spot 2 huge mushroom islands straight away from spawn. Those mushroom fields are both perfect and pretty huge, and I even found a lush cave peeking out from underneath. But the thing that really adds this seed to the list is its numerous patches of pale garden. While slightly further away than the first 2 seeds, there is just so many patches of it. The ocean on one side takes you to a smaller patch that looks out over this pretty huge patch. Underneath your feet, right at these exact coordinates here, within the pale garden, you can find a wicked, lush, deep, dark city underneath. It's so cool. I love that it's under the new biome, and you can also find another patch about 1,000 blocks away that sits on the edge of a pine forest. These 2 biomes are just so nice together. I really like the aesthetic. With the blue rivers meandering through and the snowy peaks in the back, it's low-key perfect for a base. If this is maybe a little too far for you to travel, then you can find the coolest patch and the busiest patch a little closer to spawn. On the other side of this ocean, you'll find a pale forest right next to a woodland mansion. If you've watched any of my other seed videos, then you know I love these structures. They are one of my favorite things in a game. So with one being right next to the new pale garden biome and all of this excitement in just one place, it's such a win. There's even a ruined portal in the lake at the bottom too of this skyscraper of a mansion. And if all of this wasn't cool enough, this ruined portal spawns you on top of a Nether fortress. You'll find yourself in the red crimson biome, and this is just such a crazy Nether spawn. I'm obsessed. The fact this portal is an obsidian ticket to one of the most important structures in Minecraft, and I even found Nether water here. To have all of these structures in the overworld right next to the new pale garden, and to have that ruined portal spit you out on top of a fortress, it's just so cool, guys. And with this super lucky find, I'm gonna go and move on to the next seed. I mean, what more can you get out of a seed other than pale garden and a portal that spits you out on top of another fortress? Alright guys, so our 4th seed of the day. This is a really cool seed, and I can't wait to share this one with you guys. This seed might be my favorite of the day, dudes, and I'm about to show you guys why. You'll first notice you spawn on the edge of these long, flat, grassy lands. Making your way up the hill, you can spot the first patch of pale garden. This seed offers a pretty sizable patch of pale garden, and you'll have no issue finding the new mob, the creaking. Next to this pale forest, you can find another sizable patch of pale garden too, and you can find a woodland mansion right next to both of these. You'll even be able to spot a 3rd forest on the other side of the mansion too. I absolutely love that all of these are so close to spawn. And one of the other reasons why I love this seed is the amount of flat building lands you get that are perfect for you guys who love a large area to build in. But an even cooler part of this is that you can find so many biomes around this perfect grassy fields, and even an ocean back at spawn. From these ideal flat lands, you can see dark oak, pale oak and birch forests. You can see jungle, a small patch of savanna, and a desert with the villages, desert temples, so you can see that this offers so much just as well as the pale garden. Something else that I loved about this seed was that the ocean next to spawn has an adorable little island village with a portal that pops you out in the crimson forest. These cool ice spikes would also make for a very cool feature to build next to or use for a backdrop. And there's even more perfect flat building land here too. This seed also offers perfect different sized islands, so you could pick between any one of these. And this ocean can also bring you to another woodland mansion only 1,000 blocks away. I love these tall stairs leading up to it. You can find a river here next to this woodland mansion, and this specific river leads you through some really pretty jungle and all the way to a desert with a road of badlands. I love how many different biomes and things this seed has to explore. Let's move on to this next seed, but this one's definitely for the builders of the world. Okay guys, this is our final seed of the day. You'll find you spawn in a birch forest, and on the edge of the water, Funnily enough, this seed actually spawns you right next to a giant mushroom island too, meaning this is our second pale garden seed with a mushroom island right next to spawn. Is that just a coincidence? Next to this absolutely huge mushroom island, you can find 3 ocean monuments right next to it and one another. Next to this absolutely huge mushroom island, you can find 3 ocean monuments surrounding it. Make yourself a boat and head out in search of a pale garden and a place for a base. Sail this ocean until you arrive at this village. Stop over for the night, ready your gear, and you won't have to venture far until you find yourself at this absolutely huge patch of pale garden. With snow dotted all along the grey mysterious trees, this might be the most scenic pale forest of the day. It's definitely the largest too. I absolutely love these snow-topped mountains and pine taiga in the back. This absolutely huge pale garden is also home to a crazy beautiful lush cave. The fact this absolute metropolis of a lush cave is right underneath the brand new pale garden is crazy to me, and I love it. It's so worth a visit. I'm absolutely loving this pairing in the combo between the lushness and the paleness. It's so fire. Next to this pale garden, you can also find it has a really lovely stretch of cherry blossom. I love how it spans all along this long, flat valley cliff face. If you wanted to build something near one of the pale gardens, then this is definitely one of the best spots. One of the huge selling points of this seed for me was the absolutely huge oceans. The ocean that you spawn next to is a huge one. You can find it has channels that links you to other gigantic oceans, and they take you to literally any biome you can imagine. It just depends on how far you're willing to travel. You can also find badlands, mangroves, an abandoned village, and these oceans are also home to plenty more mushroom islands, like loads of them. I also love the jungle biomes that this seed offers. They're pretty and offer some really nice building spots here too. There are also more spots of pale garden within this seed, so you get plenty of it. Alright guys, that was our last seed of the day. Hopefully you find a seed with either a super accessible pale garden or one with plenty of it. I wanted to share seeds that also had really nice surrounding terrain and an ideal world to build, explore and enjoy too, not just the pale garden. These seed videos take a long time to make, so if you enjoyed it, maybe consider giving a like and a subscribe, and if you're looking for your perfect seed still, you can check out my channel. I've got plenty more seeds on over there. Yeah, it's kind of a thing we've started, so yeah, feel free to check that out for hopefully your truly perfect seed. You can find me on Instagram, Twitch and Discord. Come and join us. You can find all of them under Cherry Controller. But for now though guys, we're going to go ahead and sign on out. I hope you have a great day and I'll see you real soon. Bye.